Hey YouTube, Joyboy here. So today I want to talk about the capture of Nico Robin. And so guys, this topic is relatively straightforward and obvious, but I want to approach it more like a discussion because while the main topic is obvious, the extra details may not be, and I think it deserves some talk. But anyway, let's get straight to the point. It seems incredibly likely that at some point in time, Nico Robin will actually get captured, or somebody will attempt to specifically capture her. Because as Nekomamushi says in the Zo arc, when the time comes and you go around reading those things referring to the Poneglyphs, all the big names from around the world will surely come to snatch you away. When talking about Robin. Guys, this is straight classic Oda foreshadowing. This is the kind of shit that usually ends up being significant in one way or another. This honestly reminds me most of another really cool bit of foreshadowing Oda did in the past involving Robin. Back when the Straw Hats first met Aokiji right before the Water 7 arc, Aokiji gave them this warning: "I'll remind you again, in the near future you will suffer the troubles that follow Nico Robin. That woman brings nothing but misfortune. You will break apart soon enough." This couldn't have ended up being more true and is remarkably similar to what we saw in the recent chapters, so I imagine that line is also going to be remarkably true. Now, I'll give her credit. Robin doesn't seem too disturbed about the idea. She says, "I don't mind one bit. After all, I've got strong, reliable friends who will always be there to protect me." So she doesn't seem worried. But I'm going to be honest, guys, I'm incredibly worried. But the real question for me is who will do it and how successful will they be? Nekomamushi seems to imply that all of the big players in the New World will attempt to capture Robin when she has read the Poneglyphs, and so this could end up being everyone, or it could just end up being someone in particular. I lean more towards the everyone in a sense, but with an emphasis on one character and specifically. Like, it would seem redundant for there to be multiple arcs where people are trying to capture Robin. And so who will it be? Well, I don't want to shit on any of the majority of the ideas that are out there, because at this point it literally could be anyone. With, small reasoning, maybe differentiating which may be more likely or less likely. That's why the discussion is here. But you have ideas out there such as Blackbeard. I think Blackbeard is incredibly likely to be that person that tries to capture Robin. I think Kaido is another great idea out there. People have speculated Big Mom, and I have reason to believe that that's less likely, but still, it's still possible. And then, as is true with most cases, it could be a brand new character, someone that we do not know currently exists, or maybe has only been foreshadowed in various ways. You're talking about like some of the people involved in the underworld. You're talking about, like the Vinsmoke, some character, some group that exists that we've never heard of before. And it's also possible that the world government might try and capture Robin. Reading the Poneglyphs is incredibly useful even to the world government, because being able to read the Poneglyphs may lead them to Raftel and be able to, in a way, confiscate the One Piece if it's real, or even, whatever might be there. Also, they'll be able to read the Poneglyphs and access Robin's knowledge about the locations and the ancient weapons, all things regarding that, and I'm sure that the world government would love to obtain the ancient weapons. But anyway, going back to Robin, it's very clear now, it seems to me, and probably to a lot of you as well, I think I've discussed it as well on several occasions additionally, is that by the time that the Straw Hats defeat Kaido, they may in fact possess the majority of the Poneglyphs that currently exist in the world. What I'm basically suggesting here is that by the time that the Straw Hats beat Kaido, the only Poneglyph that they will really need to find after that point in time seems to be the Road Poneglyph, the fourth unknown located Road Poneglyph, in order to reach Raftel. And I say this because of a line that Nekomamushi dropped, basically suggesting that a lot of the Poneglyphs out there have copies floating around, and that is what the majority of the big names in the world actually collect. And so, if the big names are collecting these copies, then you don't need to find every single Poneglyph that's on the Grand Line. You don't need to travel back and forth, travel all the different paths of the Grand Line in order to find all these Poneglyphs. If you take down the big names, you take down with them all of their copies of all the various Poneglyphs that are across the world. And so I think it's very safe to assume Big Mom has many of these copies, and I think it's also safe to assume that Kaido also has many of these copies as well. But if they're copies, then there could be duplicates. So Big Mom's copies and Kaido's copies could all be the same. So the difference between the two pirates is the actual physical poneglyphs that they've been able to protect and defend, that they've kept out of the reach of other people looking for the poneglyphs. So the 3 specific poneglyphs that Brook copied down in the recent chapters, those 3 poneglyphs, I suspect, are poneglyphs that nobody else had access to other than Big Mom. And then of course Big Mom also had the copies as well that a lot of people possess. And I think Kaido will be similar, having poneglyphs that he has been able to obtain and keep out of the reach of other people as well. So by taking down Big Mom and then taking down Kaido, you get all of their unique poneglyphs, as well as all you need to do is read or find the copies of the poneglyphs from one of them in order to have basically all the poneglyphs you need aside from that last road poneglyph. And as a side note, and I'm probably going to get a few dislikes for mentioning this randomly, but I actually just thought about this and it's really interesting. If the Straw Hats were actually going to end up taking down Big Mom, then I think there would be no need to sneak away her unique poneglyphs in the first place, right? So if you beat Big Mom, then you could just take her poneglyphs or copies of her poneglyphs afterwards. So having gone through all of this trouble of actually like secretly sneaking those copies away from her, out from under her nose, suggests that they would never be in a position. Oda needed to write that into the story in order for them to actually obtain those poneglyphs. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. Nekomamushi says that when the time comes and you go about reading those things, all the big names will surely come away to try and capture you. And so he says, he gives us a time frame here. He says, when the time comes and you go about reading those things. And so this gives the general impression that as of right now, Robin isn't a target. And so this kind of suggests that if she were to have read more poneglyphs, then she would become a target. And so this gives the general impression that given Big Mom's place in the story, that Big Mom will not be the person that tries to capture Robin. This is probably also doubly true because Big Mom has already found someone, already has hopes for someone to be able to interpret the poneglyphs for her in Charlotte Pudding. And so from this, I think that Big Mom is the least likely person to attempt to capture Robin. So then the next major player in the story, it seems like, will be Kaido. When the Straw Hats reunite in Wano, we assume that eventually Robin will actually read the copies of the poneglyphs that Brook just stole in the recent chapters. And so having done this, then it now fulfills the requirement that Nekomamushi seems to put, that Robin has now read a few of the poneglyphs, or a few more poneglyphs. Specifically, Kaido will have been wanting to take Big Mom's road poneglyph, wanting to been taking her other poneglyphs, and now will have an opportunity to do so since the Straw Hats will be carrying around copies. And of course, Robin will have translated them. And so guys, I love the idea that Kaido will attempt to capture Robin. Kaido seems to have some interest in actually obtaining the poneglyphs. And the reason that I speculate this, it isn't entirely clear in the story, but there is some things to back it, which is that we know that Oden Kozuki was a member of the family that actually created the poneglyphs. He knew how to read and write the characters. And it seems like Kaido specifically targeted him and his family and Momonosuke. And so of course Kaido ended up killing Oden, but it could have been a lost cause in the sense that Oden would never reveal his secrets, would never help Kaido in any way, and was willing to die before allowing himself to give up the secrets of the poneglyphs. And so then Kaido turned his attention to Momo instead. But there seems to be a lot of people that are confused why exactly Kaido and Jack were interested in finding Raizo. I do not believe that Raizo in particular is important. I believe that the reason that they were looking for Raizo is because they were looking for Momonosuke. Momonosuke is the person that Kaido wants to find, perhaps because he presumes that Momonosuke also knows how to read and write the poneglyphs like his father. Or maybe Kaido knows something about the yet-to-be-revealed importance of Momonosuke's power as he showed at the end of the Zou arc. But regardless, the fact that Kaido seems to be targeting the Kozuki family and their ancient history having created the poneglyphs seems to me to be it could not be a coincidence, we'll put it that way. And of course, Kaido has also collected a road poneglyph, which very obviously implies that he plans on finding them all. And in order to understand them, he would need a translator, which as of now, he is not stated to possess. And so guys, while I love this idea, there are a few hurdles that we would need to jump over, events in the story that would need to take place in order for this to make sense. Or at least in order for the story to progress in that direction. And the first thing, which is very interesting, is that it will probably not be world news that the Straw Hats obtained Big Mom's poneglyphs, the copies of Big Mom's poneglyphs. they will have secretly stolen the Poneglyphs, and even if Big Mom becomes aware that they stole the copies of the Poneglyphs, Big Mom does not strike me as the kind of person who would want to admit that the copies were stolen right underneath her nose. And so then Big Mom may know, the Straw Hats will know, but how will the rest of the world find out? And why this is important is because, as Nekomamushi states, once she starts reading the Poneglyphs, then she will become a target. So if Kaido is not aware that the Straw Hats have escaped Whole Cake Island with that additional knowledge, that Robin might end up reading those Poneglyphs and obtain the information on them, then it doesn't seem like Kaido would fulfill Nekomamushi's parameters. I think this would be doubly true if the Straw Hats leave Whole Cake Island without reading all the various copies of the Poneglyphs that I feel like is really likely Big Mom possesses. Keep in mind that these copies are shared between all the big names. These are the copies that are floating around that are often stolen and duplicated, etc. So I feel like the moment in which Robin will become a target is the moment that she reads all of the various copies that everyone seems to have. The vast majority of Poneglyphs that currently exist. And so if they don't take these Poneglyphs copies from Big Mom, then they will obtain them from someone else. And so then if she hasn't read them by the time that we get to the Wano arc and Kaido becomes a villain, then I don't think that the Rescue Robin arc will take place during that arc. And for me, it feels like the Wano arc and the Kaido arc will be more of like the Save Kozuki and Momonosuke arc, more so than the Protect Robin arc. Like, it seems like it would be hard for Oda to sort of make two key facets of the story like that become prominent at the very same moment. I feel like it's smarter to write it in a way that's more direct, that's more focused in a sense. And then so who is after Kaido if Kaido isn't the one? Well, it seems like the most obvious answer here would be Blackbeard. I feel there's going to be a key distinction between beating Big Mom or not, and then beating Kaido, which is that the Straw Hats have secretly taken her Poneglyphs. But I feel like when they beat Kaido, which I feel like they will beat Kaido, that they will do so on his territory. They will in some way crush him, and then afterwards they will have access to all of his Poneglyphs. And this is not something that is going to be a secret to the world. The world will know. They will also know that Kaido probably possessed the majority of the copies of the Poneglyphs that were scattered around the world. They will also know that Kaido probably possessed some unique Poneglyphs that only Kaido was defending. And they will probably also know that Nico Robin is a scholar of Ohara who knows how to interpret the Poneglyphs. So in short, they will know that at that point in time, Robin will have read the vast majority of the Poneglyphs that exist. They will understand just how close Robin and the Straw Hats will be to finding Raftel and finding the true history, and finding the One Piece. I believe this to be the moment that Nekomamushi seems to have foreshadowed in the Zou arc, when he says that when the time comes and you've read all those Poneglyphs, all the big names will come after you. I think that will be after they defeat Kaido. And so this could be the free-for-all, where literally the Straw Hats are attacked on every side by all the very greedy Poneglyph collectors out there who are searching for Robin's knowledge. But I think specifically the one character that we should focus on as the most likely to come out and actually pose a threat to Robin will be Blackbeard. Blackbeard has stated that he desires to become the Pirate King and find the One Piece. And so in order for him to do this, he would actually need to find the Poneglyphs on his own, read them, etc. in order to find Raftel and then find the One Piece. And so it seems as though from this perspective, Blackbeard is very far behind everyone else. He's a Yonko, but he is a rookie Yonko. It doesn't seem as though he probably has in his possession many copies of Poneglyphs or many Poneglyphs. It's of course possible that he obtained all the Poneglyphs that Whitebeard was able to collect, but then again Whitebeard wasn't that interested in finding the One Piece, so he may not have made it a priority to collect all the information that one would require in order to find Raftel. As well, I don't think it particularly likely he has a translator. So how exactly is Blackbeard going to close the distance and ensure that he becomes the Pirate King? Well, the quickest way would be capturing and obtaining the knowledge that Robin will have gained. And we also can't forget that Blackbeard is a schemer. He's a man with plans. He has a vision for the future and the means to obtain it. And so from this perspective, it would just seem oh so beautiful for Blackbeard as a character to go after Robin because it's just a smart thing for him to try and do. But anyway, guys, that's all I really got for you today. So in summary, my opinion is that many things are possible, but my own personal belief is that Blackbeard will be the person to attempt to or actually succeed in capturing Robin, as it seems very obvious that Nekomamushi foreshadowed. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree or disagree and why. Share your thoughts. Like the video if you like the video. Dislike the video if you dislike the video. Subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.